Ask and ye shall receive, New York Giants fans, and hopefully Joe Schoen provided the stability at a position that the New York Giants have so desperately craved ever since Sean O'Hara left this team. And that is, of course, the center position, because the Giants in the second round selected John Michael Schmitz, the center from the University of Minnesota. Despite Joe Schoen having some issues with his patience, almost trading up to secure him, they stayed pat at pick 57, and John Michael Schmitz fell right into their lap. And I got to say, John Michael Schmitz was my #1 overall center. Now, I look at Joe Tippmann and I see maybe a higher ceiling with a player like that. Joe Tippmann ranked 28th on Bruce Feldman's freak list heading into the 2022 season. However, John Michael Schmitz's framing of blocks, his precise, efficient footwork, how he utilizes leverage, and that dog mentality are all aspects of his game that make me fall in love with his profile. I'm very happy that he is a New York Football Giant. Let's get into his film. Let's start by taking a look at John Michael Schmitz's mock draftable chart. Mock Draftable is a website that aggregates all the athletic testing that was ever conducted at the Combine since 1999, so the higher the number, the better. This is off of percentile, and as you can tell by the chart, John Michael Schmitz is only above average in wingspan, height, bench press, 20-yard shuttle, broad jump, and vertical jump. It's pretty unassuming. However, the test to pay attention to with offensive linemen is the short shuttle. Many offensive line experts who are way smarter than me say the short shuttle is the best athletic indicator of what it takes to be a good offensive lineman. John Michael Schmitz ran a 4.56, which was the 5th fastest time of all the offensive linemen at the Combine. From a historical standpoint, Jason Kelce ran a 4.14, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's the fastest offensive line short shuttle ever conducted at the Combine. Typically, anything under a 4.5 is considered excellent. So the 4.56 number is really impressive. Here are some strengths and weaknesses of John Michael Schmitz's game. He's a good overall technician, has efficient footwork, strong hands, he's a finisher, and he's intelligent. He's smart, adaptive, he's assignment sound, has that glass-eating type of mentality, right? He's tough as leather, and I absolutely appreciate that about him. But he could improve some things, or there are just general weaknesses about his game that might not even be improved, like the fact that he is just a modest athlete. He's not an elite athlete, but he's a sufficient athlete. He is quick in tight spaces, has the suddenness to keep defenders' angles tight and to restrict space. His precise footwork, intelligence, and efficient hand usage help disguise his lack of high-end athletic ability. He is more dynamic as a run blocker than he is as a pass protector, but he's still good in pass protection. He is only a center. He can get over his skis sometimes in space, and there are times when he is looking for work. His pad level tends to rise a little bit, which has allowed defenders to get underneath him, and then his center of gravity is not low, and that can lead to balance issues. Was not a prevailing issue within his game, but it's something that I felt like was worth noting, and he's also a 24-year-old rookie. John Michael Schmitz shows plenty of range on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to see that right here as he accesses the outside shoulder of this Iowa 2 technique. And watch how smooth his footwork is while he accesses this, and as he feels out this combo chip and climb up to number 44 from the play side guard. And this play would have been a lot bigger if the play side guard executed his second level block, but that did not happen. But John Michael Schmitz does his job, and watch his feet here. Watch how he gets his hips right into that rushing lane. That is very precise, right? That is precision, and it's also a very smart play because 176 chips and climbs. Watch how John Michael Schmitz initiates contact with his inside hand, and at that point, his feet are not in position. So he's going to shift his momentum to get his feet in position, but the path of the interior defensive lineman is acting as if it can run right through the outside shoulder of John Michael Schmitz. But watch how John Michael Schmitz prevents that as he brings his feet into the correct position to optimize the framing of this block. Watch the strength. Boom. That is an excellent play right here by John Michael Schmitz. He is going to torque his body. Once he puts that foot in the ground, watch how he just explodes right through the breastplate of the 2 technique, and that's going to stop the 2 technique from penetrating right here, and it's going to position the 2 technique on this side. And by the time the 2 technique even realizes where the ball is going, he has no path to get to Mo Ibrahim, and John Michael Schmitz is anchoring down. And look at that foot flexion right there. He has flexibility at all 3 of his joints, and that's really important on the interior offensive line when you have to reset your anchor and redistribute your weight so many times throughout a game. And on this specific play, you could see how John Michael Schmitz just positions himself so well. He's not in a great position to begin. He has to reach all the way around. And yes, he gets a little bit of help here, but that upper body strength right there, combined with his feet to skip right around, position that backside right into the hole of where Mo Ibrahim is running is a very nice play by John Michael Schmitz. You're going to see something similar right here as well. He gets a little bit of help from 65, but he's able to cut off this angle from a three technique right here. That's a far distance to travel. And you can watch, this is another zone type of play. Look at the footwork. Look at the lean into contact. He's over his skis right here, but you can see he can bend in those feet. He's got some bend. And once he makes contact, 65 chips, and 65 flashes his eyes right up to 55 or 65, whatever that is. And John Michael Schmitz is not in contact yet. So there's little room for error for this combo block right here. And watch how John Michael Schmitz gets that outside shoulder on the back of this Wisconsin defender. And this Wisconsin defender can just break right through at this moment, but he doesn't because John Michael Schmitz drives his feet into contact. And then look how low he is and how he's able to stay square to the target. He is staying square to the target right here. That is an excellent play. And watch how coordinated these feet are to swivel those hips around. And again, really good bend to allow Mo Ibrahim to have that rushing path. I don't think we talk enough about how this guy has a really good lower body flexion that allows him to make blocks like this so he can get the most out of his range. And that is something that I know Bobby Johnson certainly values. It's another really excellent block in a reach type of situation. And you'll see plenty of plays like this on tape where John Michael Schmitz is reaching 2-3 techniques, promptly getting to his landmarks to allow his guards to climb, engaging his core and upper body strength through lateral blocks to control and displace with range, fluidity, and leg drive. Like on plays like this, like the accuracy you need to get your hips around like that, that's so smooth. And watch how low he gets. Again, talking about that flexion, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but he is getting super low right here and resetting himself and then exploding low to high to lift number 95 up to eliminate him. And look, Mo Ibrahim just squeezes right behind his backside. He's creating a seal on this play. Blocks like this are one of the reasons why Minnesota's rushing attack was so efficient over the last several seasons. Here, number 95 is going to try to penetrate the A-gap to avoid the guard, but he goes right into John Michael Schmitz, and watch Michael Schmitz just anchor himself down in place. This is another thing I love about this player, is his ability to make contact, get your hands where they need to be, and then just anchor down. Trust your anchor. Trust your ass. And if there's one thing I got to say about John Michael Schmitz is he has some sand in his pants. His pants are full of sand. He doesn't get pushed around. He has a good anchor and pass protection, which we'll go over a little bit later. But you can even see it here as he cuts off this angle, sets his hands, and then just sits back on his hips and trusts the fact that he's not going to get bullied around by this defensive lineman. This is one of my favorite plays from John Michael Schmitz. I'm going to run it and I'm going to break it down real quick. I might not break down every single play, but there's a lot of good clips here. And I also love just how he fights through the whistle, teeters the line of being dirty, but hopefully he doesn't get flagged too much for that. But watch how he snaps this football and then flashes his eyes at 55, who was in a stack position at the snap behind the 3 technique. He knows 55 is trying to penetrate this backside A-gap, so what does he do? Pop on contact. And watch how he just moves 55 as he attempts to slip right through. That is some real force behind that hit right there. And 55 feels it. You could see him almost get whiplashed. What does John Michael Schmitz do after that? He gets his eyes right back up to see if there's a pursuing defender. He finds 15, and he allows his running back to not have to deal with 2 backside pursuit defenders. This is a very good block from a center, and I also just love the body control that he possesses on the play and the ability to locate while staying square into contact. And it's just something that John Michael Schmitz does. You'll see it on the following clips too. You'll just see a lot of combo blocks. Also just him finishing players with tenacity and authority. It's something that John Michael Schmitz does. You can see him churning his feet through contact here on this short yardage situation out of shotgun. Watch how he just steps. Boom, 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 boom. Those feet just keep going. Gets hip to hip with his fellow guard, and he just displaces this defensive lineman. You can also see how low he's getting into contact, exploding low to high, right? See how he dips into the contact? Dip in, get hip to hip, and then drive your feet. Drive your feet, big fella. Drive your feet. You love to see that. Finish after the play. You see it again here. Just keeps driving his feet into contact. Another short yardage situation. You're going to see another play against Northwestern where the Northwestern 1 technique gets to his outside shoulder, so John Michael Schmitz, with help from his guard who shoves him in that direction, adjusts the block and just rides him out of the play. And you can see again, he's leaning into that contact and he's just driving his feet one after another. It's one of the aspects of his game I really appreciate, is the fact that he is never stagnant. He is always somebody who is looking to play through the whistle. He emphasizes he is a blue-collar type of football player. We're going to see a couple plays of him chipping, climbing, locating, and eliminating linebackers. I love this guy's play strength too, and this also goes for just how he performs in the trenches. But you can see how he fits his hands inside on this linebacker, and it's a linebacker, but he goes low to high, gets underneath the breastplate of the linebacker. You can see the strength on contact. It like lifts this player up, 17. Watch his foot right here. It gets lifted off the ground a little bit as John Michael Schmitz goes low to high, exploding through the ground, and then just stays in front, active feet. You're going to see that throughout his tape. And again, the grip strength also applies to how he engages blocks on the line of scrimmage. Here, this one's a little bit more range, right? He's over the bubble. There's no one covering him. If 90 doesn't come in his direction and this 3 technique doesn't slant here, then your guards are going to be covered. That means you're going to be the offensive lineman who can climb up to the second level and isolate a linebacker. This one is going to be the play side linebacker with number 3 lined on this side. So you can see John Michael Schmitz starts by looking up. Is anybody coming through my gap? Is anybody blitzing or penetrating? No, they're all reading. Cool. I'm going to climb up, locate the play side linebacker, and take him for a ride. Bye-bye, play side linebacker, and I'm going to drive him off the camera. Poor number 30 right here. He thinks a crackback block is going to be thrown on him. He doesn't know that John Michael Schmitz is climbing up to the second level and just really introducing himself. Isaac Newton, John Michael Schmitz. He has 3 laws of motion. He hits you, you hit the floor, and then he falls on top of you, because that's just how he likes to finish plays. This is how gravity works. I'm going to introduce to you, number 30 of the Iowa Hawkeyes, how gravity works. I'm going to hit you, and you're gone. And I'm going to try to pave the way for my running back, for my quarterback, whoever has the football. Unfortunately, the blocking up front wasn't great, but that is just, I'm going to toss you out of the club type of strength right there from John Michael Schmitz, who is going to be able to do that against these defensive backs. And you're going to see him kind of do this against a defensive lineman in the Northwestern game. This 2-eye technique is going to try to get in. John Michael Schmitz is actually higher. 2-eye technique is winning the leverage battle, but John Michael Schmitz adjusts himself here. He's going to step right into the contact, and then he is going to sink his weight on number 60, force his knee to the ground, and then just finish him, and I'm going to fall on top of you because that's just what I do. Here, John Michael Schmitz knows he's going to have guard help on the 1 technique. He has to pay attention to number 17 since he is aligned in this play side A gap. So that's his assignment. That's what he is thinking about. And as long as 44 doesn't slant into this A gap, then he's going to be responsible for 17. So he snaps the football. The guard is going to scoop this 1 technique. You can see how John Michael Schmitz looks over at the 3 technique. Oh, he's not coming. Cool. I'm going to climb up to the second level. I'm going to make contact on the play side linebacker, 17, and then I'm just going to take him out of the play. Joe Schoen talks a lot about mental toughness, physical toughness, competition, smart, tough, and dependable. John Michael Schmitz checks all of those boxes, and it's one reason why the New York Giants were smitten with this specific individual. Here, I like how he adjusts this block against Northwestern, because Mo Ibrahim is going to find the cutback lane. He presses play side, sees lateral flow, huge lateral flow. You just have this backside pursuit defender, so he's going to attempt to cut around number 77, and John Michael Schmitz does not know that, but he reads what the defender is doing and sees the defender reacting in this manner to the way he is blocking him. So John Michael Schmitz knows that there's going to be a cutback lane, so he just shoves the linebacker away from Mo Ibrahim so he can pick up an extra couple of yards. And now let's get into some pass protection. Pass protection. So this is going to be a play, and I love the fact that PJ Fleck, the head coach of Minnesota, trusted John Michael Schmitz to execute a block like this, because you have 2 defenders over here in a 12 personnel package. That's going to force the defense to align a bunch of defenders in this manner. And if you're passing the football, some of these guys are going to go out in the routes, which means you're going to be at a disadvantage to the left side of the offense. So what PJ Fleck does is he takes his guard. You can see he's about to pull. He's totally selling it. He's going to kick him over to this side, but 77 is going to have to be on the tackle, who's in a wide 9 stance. So that means John Michael Schmitz has to cut off the angle of the 4-eye technique. That is an insane assignment for a center, but John Michael Schmitz is able to do it here. And he has to flip his hips early, but you could see the explosiveness once he puts that foot in the ground right here. You see that little hop skip that he takes, and watch the angle he takes. It's very, very flat. He needs to take that to get those hips completely flipped, and then how he explodes off this foot to contact 90 to allow the quarterback to get rid of the football. That's not an easy assignment. You really need to trust your center's range and your center's ability to snap the football and then know that he has a ton of ground to cover. It's not easy, but I like the fact that they trusted him to execute this type of block in their protection packages. It really speaks to how much they trusted John Michael Schmitz, who PJ Fleck has said was their best player on the team this past season. You can see him in pass protection. Here you see some anchor against Michigan State. He's going to snap the football, flash his eyes, 13 is not coming. Sees both his guards engaged in blocks. He keeps this hand free just in case he could feel for contact. And then you see the transition between 76 and John Michael Schmitz as this defender spins inside. John Michael Schmitz makes contact and then just sets back on his hips again. Look, you can see that flexion in the ankles. It's not like he even gets his hands inside. His hands aren't really positioned super well, but he's able to grab a hold of the shoulder pad. And that doesn't always get flagged. So you have a hold of that. Ideally you want it underneath. But as he sits back on his hips and just trusts himself, he's able to just bow his back and absorb that contact. And 97 is trying to push through John Michael Schmitz, but it takes a lot for 97 to gain any momentum through that inside shoulder. And the quarterback easily gets the football out of his hands. And this is something that we see from John Michael Schmitz. I like his run blocking a little bit better than his pass protection, but he's a good pass protector. He has quick hands, and that's one of the most important things about an offensive lineman in pass protection is how you center specifically, how you snap the football, and then how you fit your hands inside. And right here, he has 65 who helps with the stab, but he gets his hands inside, his elbows are tight, his hands are tight, he's always readjusting himself, he can handle counter moves, his feet are always active. You can see that right on this play too. His feet are active, they're moving, they're mirroring. He's not allowing this defensive lineman to get to any sort of half-man relationship. And when you keep your feet active and when you play with good leverage and you know how to use your hands, you can stay in front of the defender so he's never in a position to take advantage of you. And there were times where John Michael Schmitz lost. We'll go over a couple of them in a little bit. But it wasn't something that you saw all that often throughout his college career. And you can see again, he's just staying in front of this Wisconsin defender as the quarterback gets rid of the football. So right at the last second, this is important too, right at the last second, you can see how 94 goes from a 4-eye tech, jumps right over to the nose. That's going to change the entire assignment. So you got to snap the football, the play clock is going down. So John Michael Schmitz needs to see who is coming, what blocker has which defender. So you can see how he flashes that hand up to see if 94 is going to come in this direction. But 56 comes in this direction. But he catches 56, and then it's going to be on that guard to pick up 17. I like how he absorbs the contact from 56. You can see him embrace. He knows what's coming. He knows what's going down. Gets those hands tight, gets those elbows tight, and then he just sits back on his hips, trusts that anchor like we talked about before. I love how balanced he is. I love how he sits back on his hips and how he is able to establish leverage by bowing his back backwards and just sitting back on that anchor. And then he's able to readjust himself as well. Once you see 56 exhaust all the power through contact, and you can see 56's center of gravity is now risen, right? He can generate no more contact in the position that he's in, yet John Michael Schmitz is still in a position where he can drive off of these feet to dictate the rep, and that's exactly what he does, is he flushes 56 out of the pocket. Here he just handles an effortless twist with his guard. These guards in John Michael Schmitz, they were in sync. There weren't a lot of twists that were defeating them throughout his college career. And on this play, you can see how he just takes 91. Is a player you might know, that is Lucas Van Ness, but he just assumes him on this twist and then just stays in front of him long enough to allow the quarterback to throw the football. Here against Northwestern, you can see sugaring the A-gap, they bail. That's going to change assignments, and watch how active John Michael Schmitz is. Flashing his eyes everywhere, looking for work. Where's the blitzer coming? Where's that fourth defender coming? 41 slants right into his path, and he just absorbs the contact. Little helmet to helmet right there. But you can see he takes it, absorbs it, allows quarterback to throw the football. He's up against Keanu Benton as a nose, and Benton gave him fits throughout this Wisconsin game, but I feel like John Michael Schmitz does a good job here showing the resilience that he possesses as a pass blocker, because he does not fit his hands inside well here, and Keanu Benton lands that outside long arm and then works to the half man. This doesn't happen to John Michael Schmitz a lot, but Keanu Benton's a good football player, and look at this position, a very vulnerable position. Keanu Benton has a lower center of gravity than John Michael Schmitz. He has inside hand placement, long arm. John Michael Schmitz has really no chance to gain any sort of inside control on Keanu Benton. So what does John Michael Schmitz do? He goes right for the elbow and lifts the long arm up, or at least attempts to. And then he goes and he grabs onto the arm, and then he sinks himself to prevent Keanu Benton from separating. He has contingencies in place. That doesn't work. Let me adjust my plan. I'm going to attempt to lift you, and then I'm going to attempt to drag you to the ground, but I'm going to maintain contact, and then I'm going to shove you hard after the play. And here he takes on, I believe that's Keanu Benton again. Number 95 tries to penetrate the A-gap, comes with a nice violent chop downward. Doesn't seem to make contact. John Michael Schmitz cuts off the angle, meets him, and then he just stays in front of him. That's good anchor right there, right? Because you can see Keanu Benton's trying to bull rush. John Michael Schmitz gets walked back right there, reset, and then watch how he resyncs those hips. And that's what I love to see. Resync your center of gravity, resync your hips to establish better position, to establish better control. And by the time you do that, the defender isn't going to be able to defeat you if you do it correctly, and the quarterback should get rid of the football or evade the pocket. Now let's look at some negative plays from John Michael Schmitz. Here's one of them against Keanu Benton, and it was something that I saw against Wisconsin. I saw it a little bit against Illinois as well, where really quick pass rushing power moves caught John Michael Schmitz by surprise. It wasn't Shane Lemieux. It wasn't an issue that plagued John Michael Schmitz's profile, but I feel like we should discuss it. And here's one of them. John Michael Schmitz here, he has a nose over the top of him. He knows the guard is going to attempt to cut off this angle, so John Michael Schmitz is going to attempt to take on 55, who is going to penetrate. But John Michael Schmitz needs to make contact for 95 to make this block easier for his guard. And as he goes into contact, he just gets caught leaning a little bit. His head over his toes, right? And then watch, a club swim over the top by Keanu Benton sends John Michael Schmitz to the ground. And the guard cannot get that block. That's a poor job by John Michael Schmitz there, who did not expect that type of power move and just got caught leaning a little bit as he attempted to cut off the angle of a linebacker, a much quicker player. Here, John Michael Schmitz is attempting to get into the double team to allow 65 to climb up to AA battery, but AA battery undercuts. When John Michael Schmitz goes into contact, he doesn't adjust well enough, and it's right here he realizes he needs to engage AA battery, so he goes to do so. AA battery keeps his hips low, keeps his pad level low, has active hands, and look at John Michael Schmitz's positioning. Straight up in the air, you can't do much, so he got caught with his pad level just a little bit too high as he was attempting to adjust, and that's just a quick adjustment that he missed. Again, not something that is all throughout his tape, but plays that we should highlight sometimes are his lowlights, because we want to be about as comprehensive as possible here. John Michael Schmitz just gets caught lunging at the second level. 48, he's expecting the nose, who is actually in a one shade. He's expecting contact with 48, goes through this backside A gap right here. So John Michael Schmitz kind of tosses him aside, and as he recollects his balance and goes to locate the linebacker just undercuts him as well, and he gets caught leaning. I think John Michael Schmitz gets over his skis sometimes when he's in space, but overall he plays with good body control. And now Keanu Benton giving him fits once again at the line of scrimmage. And on this play, Keanu Benton is a 2-eye technique, and he's going to go through the opposite shoulder of John Michael Schmitz. John Michael Schmitz steps, puts his foot there, has a wide base, goes to punch. Everything's tight, but Keanu Benton gets that hand right there, and he grabs the shoulder pad of John Michael Schmitz, and then he pulls him and then brings the opposite arm over the top. And that's a lot of lateral agility, mind you, by Keanu Benton. That's a very precise play. You need to be really crafty with your hands to be able to grab that. Use John Michael Schmitz's jersey basically as a catapult to get your other arm over the top while disallowing John Michael Schmitz to really do anything against you in this situation, because you control his jersey and then you can penetrate. John Michael Schmitz doesn't get flagged here, but he easily could have, because he basically hugs and tackles Keanu Benton down to the ground. Another play against Wisconsin. I believe that is Keanu Benton. He gets caught leaning a little bit, goes into the contact, and then Keanu Benton already has employed this move on John Michael Schmitz twice. And this one, similar move, I should say. But that's a club swim over the top. And Schmitz, he's just not in the best position. You can see how his chest is going over his toes. Look at his toes right here, his feet, and his chest is over the top of it. Keanu Benton takes advantage of that situation and just club swim really quick, separate, get an assisted tackle for a loss on Mo Ibrahim. So sometimes in these types of situations, if he's struggling, maybe he lunges too much. Again, I didn't think it was anything that was too egregious in his profile, but Keanu Benton took advantage of it 3 times. So there's something to be said here. And this is probably the worst play from John Michael Schmitz on his tape, and it came against this Illinois defender that I don't really know all that much about. Now that is just straight manhandled. And you do not see this from John Michael Schmitz. John Michael Schmitz on this one is a pass blocking play. You can see he sets back to anchor, gets his hands inside, but the grip strength of this defender to get his hands inside, step, and you can see how he torques his body, puts so much weight on this foot, this left foot, and then just sticks his right foot in the ground, grabs John Michael Schmitz's jersey, and tosses him like garbage. Like, that was a very impressive play by the defender, and one of the plays that I saw on tape early with John Michael Schmitz, and I was like, what the hell are we talking about? This guy's one of the top guys, but then I never saw really anything like that throughout his tape until I got to Wisconsin, where he struggled against Keanu Benton. But overall, his tape is very good, and there's really no glaring weaknesses throughout the entirety of it. But that was a clip that was a little bit concerning. And here, John Michael Schmitz gets beat through that shoulder by Keanu Benton. Again, on this play, I believe he thought he was going to have help from the guard or from the running back, more than likely the guard. But the guard has a guy over the bubble, but you have 3 defenders here with 4 blockers. I'm thinking John Michael Schmitz thought he had help to this play side gap, so he was flashing his eyes up to see if 55 is going to attempt to come here or attempt to come here. 55 goes there, meaning the guard is not going to help John Michael Schmitz, which puts John Michael Schmitz on Keanu Benton, and then Keanu Benton went through this A gap where John Michael Schmitz, I believe, thought he had help. You could see that kind of where John Michael Schmitz's eyes are. His eyes are going for number 55 here, like he assumed that there was going to be help there. There was no help there. Keanu Benton penetrates, and then John Michael Schmitz, I actually found it kind of impressive that he was able to flip his hips like this, especially while he was getting held. Maybe that even helped him a little bit. He was able to flip his hips and then get to the hip and then push Keanu Benton down so his quarterback didn't get killed on that play. I want to end this video on a positive note and show a few clips from the 2023 Reese's Senior Bowl where John Michael Schmitz was absolutely phenomenal. These are one-on-ones, which are tailored to the defense in terms of the trenches, yet John Michael Schmitz was able to stonewall a lot of these defenders. Here's Jalen Redmond from Oklahoma, and watch how John Michael Schmitz gets those hands inside, shuffles his feet, stays in front of Jalen Redmond, anchors down when he has to. Watch how he pulls Jalen Redmond's jersey close to him, hops back, resets. Again, we talked a lot about his lower body flexion, his ability to bow his back. You can really see it here, man. Like, that's something that I don't feel like we discuss enough about John Michael Schmitz. Like, look at those ankles, look at those hips, look at those knees, and look at how he is able to stay in front. This is a very technically sound blocker. Like I said earlier, very high floor type of player. He's going to be a good football player at the NFL level, and we could see it here again against this Mississippi State. This Mississippi State guy goes right for the bull rush, locks out John Michael Schmitz. John Michael Schmitz walks back, stays in front. His ability to steer, and I just really love where his hands are and his grip strength. You can see he's executing the Lane Johnson technique of exploding low to high and rising the center of gravity of the defender. And you can see it right there as John Michael Schmitz has the inside jersey. He's getting locked out. The defensive player is in an advantageous position, but he can't separate from John Michael Schmitz because John Michael Schmitz is staying square to target, has his hands inside to control, and keeps shuffling his feet to match what the defender is doing. And there's our quick breakdown on John Michael Schmitz, the center from the University of Minnesota, and hopefully the longtime starter right here for your beloved New York Football Giants. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Please, if you have not done so already, head on over to bigblueview.com and check out all of our written content. We are extensively covering the 2023 NFL Draft, undrafted free agents, and everything about the New York Football Giants. Nick Falato signing off. Go Big Blue.